So we're going back to what this author interpreted Numbers 11:4-10. Manna was given to the Israelites by God, but they complained about it and wanted meat instead. Numbers 11:4-10. They were condemned for this, although God relented and gave them meat, which then made them ill. Numbers 11:32-34. Because of their lust, the place where the incident happened became known as Kibroth Hattaavah. The implication here is you shouldn't eat meat. Wait a minute. There was God's discipline of the Israelites here in view, not his peace. What God gave them to eat resulted in making them ill due to their ungodly lust. This has nothing to do with vegetarianism versus meat eating. It is due to their sinful lust for the meat, not eating something that was not permitted to eat. There are certain things that are permitted. If you add a lust to that, then God is going to discipline you. Remember, God provided the meat himself. It is the work of trickery and evil design coming from the righteous Creator. See, he's got it messed up. Now, I stopped off there. Their lust was their choice, and then, as a result, they became ill. Have you not lusted after something and ate so much of it that you became ill? Is not God a sovereign God? See? So let's just take a look at what he's trying to read into Numbers 11 and see if there's a bad interpretation. 4-10, right? Numbers 11:1. We can go back to the beginning. Now the people became like those who complain of adversity in the hearing of the Lord. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some of the outskirts of the camp. The people therefore cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died out. There's discipline here. So the name of that place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord burned among them. The rabble who were among them had greedy desires. That greed is sin. And also the sons of Israel wept again and said, who will give us meat to eat? We remember the fish which we used to eat free in Egypt, the cucumbers and the melons and the leeks and the onions and the garlic. Hey, wait a minute. The cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, that's not meat. But now our appetite is gone. There's nothing at all to look at except this manna. I don't know what the manna was. It doesn't say. You can't conclude it was meat. Now the manna was like coriander seed. That sounds like vegetarianism, and its appearance was like that of bdellium. The people would go about and gather it and grind it between 2 millstones, and beat it in the mortar and boil it in the pot. See, he's reading and selecting and cherry picking, not going through the passage. So they boil it in the pot and make cakes with it, and its taste was as the taste of cakes baked with oil. Does that sound like meat? I don't know. It doesn't say. When the dew fell on the camp at night, the manna would fall with it. Now the complaint of Moses. Now Moses heard the people weeping through their families, each man at the doorway of his tent. And the anger of the Lord was kindled greatly, and Moses was displeased. So Moses said to the Lord, why have you been so hard on your servant? Why have I not found favor in your sight, and you have laid the burden of all this people on me? Was it I who conceived all this people? See, the people are really doing a bad job being faithful to the commands of the Lord. Was it I who brought them forth, that you should say to me, carry them in your bosom as a nurse carries a nursing infant to the land which you swore to their fathers? Now who provided the manna in heaven? This miraculous provision of food, and then they just don't want it anymore. Where am I to get meat to give to all these people? For they weep before me, saying, give us meat that we may eat. I alone am not able to carry all this people, because it is too burdensome for me. So if you are going to deal with this thus with me, please kill me at once. I have found favor in your sight. If I have found favor in your sight, then do not let me see my wretchedness. So, keep on reading. The Lord therefore said to Moses, gather for me 70 men from the elders of Israel, whom you know to be the elders of the people and their officers, and bring them to the tent meeting, and let them take their stand there with you. Then I will come down and speak with you there. The Lord is speaking directly to people. And I will take of the Spirit who is upon you, and will put him upon them, and they shall bear the burden of the people with you, so that you will not bear it all alone. So to say to the people, consecrate yourselves for tomorrow, and you shall eat meat. For you have wept in the ears of the Lord, saying, oh, that someone would give us meat to eat, for we were well off in Egypt. They didn't want to be in the promised land because of the hardships and the difficulties and the challenges. They wanted to make it easy, just slide and run into the promised land without any contribution on their own part. Therefore the Lord will give you meat, and you shall eat. You shall eat, not one day, for 2 days, nor for 5 days, nor 10 days, nor 20 days, but a whole month, until it comes out of your nostrils and becomes loathsome to you because you have rejected the Lord. See, the issue is not should you eat meat. The issue is their attitude. It's not the food he offered. They requested meat. But the issue was you wanted them to change their attitude. You have rejected the Lord who is among you and have wept before him, saying, why did we ever leave Egypt? See, the attitude is leaving. Why? We wanted to be back, and there are no challenges. But Moses said, the people among whom I am are 600,000 on foot. Yet you have said, I will give them meat so that they may eat for a whole month. Wow. Should flocks and herds be slaughtered for them to be sufficient for them? See, the Lord is saying, I can do this. It's not evil for the Lord to do this. So don't tell me the Lord is not in the favor of eating meat. Or should all the fish of the sea be gathered together for them to be sufficient for them? The Lord said there were attitude problems, not meat or fish or vegetarian problems. The Lord said to Moses, is the Lord's power limited? Now you shall see whether my word will come true for you or not. So Moses went out and told the people the words of the Lord, and also he gathered 70 men of the elders of the people and stationed them around the tent. Then the Lord came down in the cloud and spoke to them, and he took of the Spirit who was upon him and placed him upon the 70 elders. And when the Spirit rested upon them, they prophesied, but they did not do it again. But 2 men had remained in the camp. The name of the one was Eldad, and the name of the other was Medad. And the Spirit rested upon them. Now there were those among them who had been registered but had not gone out to the tent, and they prophesied in the camp. All right, now we're getting close. So a young man ran and told Moses and said, Eldad and Medad are prophesying in the camp. Then Joshua, the son of Nun, the attendant of Moses from his youth, said, Moses, my Lord, restrain them. But Moses said to them, are you jealous for my sake? Would that all the Lord's people were prophets, that the Lord would put his Spirit upon them? Then Moses returned to the camp, both he and the elders of Israel. Now here it is, the quail and the plague. Now there went forth a wind from the Lord, and it brought quail from the sea, and let them fall beside the camp, about a day's journey on this side, and a day's journey on the other side, all around the camp, and about 2 cubits deep on the surface of the ground. Then the people spent all day and all night and all the next day and gathered the quail. He who gathered least gathered 10 homers, and they spread them out for themselves all around the camp, while the meat was still between their teeth. Before it was chewed, the anger of the Lord was kindled, because they were lusting, they were gluttonous against the people, and the Lord struck the people with a very severe plague. So the name of that place was called Kibroth Hattaavah, because they were buried. There they buried people who had been greedy. See, it's not the meat, it's not the vegetables, it's their attitude. From Kibroth Hattaavah, the people set out for Hazareth, and they remained at Hazareth. So what is the issue? Vegetarian or meat? No, it's an attitude toward the Lord. And it was permissible because the Lord provided the food. So, we read the passage. To take a look at Numbers. What was it? Numbers 11. And read it carefully. The issue was not vegetarianism, ANISM, versus meat. It was attitude. Like I said, you noticed they longed for the vegetables back in Egypt and the meat there. The fish, that's meat. The Lord said, I'll give you quail, but you're going to lust for it. He let them go with the lust, didn't control them. It was their choice. And they got this meat, this quail, and they got stuffed, and then they got sick with it because God's disciplining them because of their meat eating? No, their attitude. Moving on, a donkey temporarily given the ability to speak showed Balaam more than the signs of sentience. Numbers 22 to 30, 21 to 33. 22, 21 to 33. What's the problem here? I don't see anything about meat eating. Wow. You guys going all over the place. Some people, a donkey temporarily given the ability to speak showed Balaam more than signs of sentience. I don't know what's that got to do with anything. Let's see. It's confusing. Some people believe that the book of Daniel, now he goes to Daniel. What does that even mean? So I don't know. You have to explain to me. What's this got to do? What does this have to do with eating what you eat? First of all, Israel is in view, not Christians. Anyway, so when you cite a donkey temporarily given the ability to speak showed Balaam more than signs of sentience, what's that even mean? What's that got to do with this issue? Some people believe that the book of Daniel also specifically promotes veganism, as empowering Daniel specifically refuses the king's meat and instead requests vegetables. I could say the same thing. You guys, cherry-picking verses that talk about what Daniel eats. Daniel preferred vegetables. This did not mean that he would not also eat meat. Remember, he was in a foreign land that did not follow the Mosaic law. Which designates what Israelites should eat, including the proper preparation of that meat. Remember? Drain out the blood. You know that blood you didn't have to drain the blood out to every single drop of blood. Physically, that's not feasible. We don't do that today. But it is probably, if it's sitting around, going to get diseased. So you have to make your case. Daniel 1, 8 to 16. But did you bother quoting it here and then going through it a little bit to see? Was it Daniel 8, 1? See if I got it. 1, 8 to 16. You have to do a little more work than just slap things around like cherry. This is where the guy's cherry picking all over the place.